Hello guys, welcome to our channel Learn with Rahul. So today I'm back with another video. So today we are going to talk about Kubla Khan. So before I start, I have a humble request for you guys. Please make sure to subscribe my channel and press the bell icon. Your subscription will be big motivation for me. So let's start. Kubla Khan, or A Vision in a Dream. A Fragment is a poem written by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, completed in 1797 and published in 1816. According to Coleridge's preface to Kubla Khan, the poem was composed one night after he experienced an opium-influenced dream after reading a work describing Zandu, the summer place of the Mongol ruler and emperor of China, Kublai Khan. Upon waking, he set about writing lines of poetry that came to him from the dream until he was inter- interrupted by a person from per- Perlok. The poem could not be completed according to its original 200 to 300 line plan. As the interruption caused him to forget the lines, he left it unpublished and kept it for private readings for his friends until 1816, when at a at the prompting of Lord Baron it was published. Some of Coleridge's contemporaries denounced the poem and questioned his story of his origin. It was not until years later that critics began to openly admire the poem. Most modern critics now view Kubla Khan as one of the Coleridge's three great poems, along with the rhyme of the ancient mariner and Christabel. The poem is considered one of the most famous examples of romanticism in English poetry and is one of the most frequently anthologized poems in the English language. A copy of the manuscript is permanent exhibit at the British Library in London. Now let's talk about Samuel Coleridge Taylor. Coleridge Taylor, 15 August 1875 to 1 September 1912, was an English composer and conductor of mixed race. His mother was an English woman and his father was a Sierra Leone Caroline physician. Coleridge Taylor achieved such success that he was referred to by white New York musicians as the African Mahler. When he had three tours of the United States in the early 1900s, he was particularly known for his three cantatas based on the epic poem Song of Hiawatha by American Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Coleridge Taylor premiered the first section in 1898 when he was 22. Now let's talk about the summary of Kubla Khan. The speaker describes the stately pleasure dome built in Zandu according to the decrees of Kubla Khan. In the place where Alp, the sacred river, ran through caverns measureless to man, down to a sunless sea. Walls and towers were raised around twice 5 miles of fertile ground, filled with beautiful gardens and forests. A deep, romantic Sam slanted down a green hill, occasionally spewing forth a violent and powerful burst of water, so great that its flanked borders up with it like rebounding hail. The river ran 5 miles through the woods, finally sinking in tumult to a lifeless ocean. Amid that tumult in the place as holy and enchanted as ever beneath a waning moon was haunted by women willing to her demon lover. Kubla heard ancestral voices bringing prophecies of war. The pleasure dome's shadow floated on the waves where the mingled sounds of the fountain and the caves could be heard. It was a miracle of the rare device. The speaker says, a sunny pleasure dome with caves of ice. The speaker says that he once saw a damsel with a dulcimer, an Abyssinian maid who played her dulcimer and sang of Mount Abora. He says that if he could receive her symphony and song within him, he would rebuild the pleasure dome out of music, and all who heard him would cry, beware of his flashing eyes, his floating hair. The hearers would circle him thrice and close their eyes with holy dread, knowing that he had tasted honeydew and drunk the milk of paradise. Let's talk about form. The chant-like musical incantations of Kubla Khan result from Coleridge's masterful use of iambic tetrameter and alternating rhyme schemes. The first stanza is written in tetrameter with a rhyme scheme of A B A A B C C D E D E, alternating between staggered rhymes and couplets. The second stanza expands into tetrameter and follows roughly the same rhyming pattern, also expanded A B A A B C C D D F F G G H I I H J J. The third stanza tightens into tetrameter and rhymes A B A B C C. The fourth stanza continues the tetrameter of the third and rhymes A B C C B D E D E F G H F G F F F G H H G. Commentary. Along with the rhyme of the ancient mariner, Kubla Khan is one of Coleridge's most famous and enduring poems. The story of his composition is also one of the most famous in the history of English poetry. As the poet explains in the short preface to this poem, he had fallen asleep after taking an anodyne prescribed in consequence of a slight disposition. This is a eupasium of opium to which Coleridge was known to be addicted. Before falling asleep, he had been reading a story in which Kubla Khan commanded the building of a new palace. Coleridge claims that while he slept, he had a fantastic vision and composed simultaneously while sleeping some 200 or 300 lines of poetry, if that indeed can be called composition, in which all the images rose up before him as scenes, with a parallel production of the correspondent expressions without any sensation of conscious effort. Waking after about 3 hours, the poet seized a pen and began writing furiously. However, after copying down the first three stanzas of his dreamed poem, the first three stanzas of the current poem, we know it, he was interrupted by a person on business from Pollock, who detained him for an hour. After this interruption, he was unable to recall the rest of the vision of the poetry he had composed in his opium dream. It is thought that the final stanza of the poem, thematizing the idea of the lost vision through the figure of the damsel with a dulcimer and the milk of paradise, was written post interruption. The mysterious person from Pollock is one of the most notorious and enigmatic figures in Coleridge's biography. Knows who he was. No one knows who he was, or why he disturbed the poet, or what he wanted, or indeed whether any of Coleridge's story is actually true. But the person from Pollock has become a metaphor for the malicious interruptions the world throws in the key of inspiration and genius, and Kubla Khan, strange and ambiguous as it is, has become what is perhaps the definitive statement on the obstruction and thwarting of the visionary genius. Regrettably, the story of the poem's composition, while thematically rich in and of itself, often overshadows the poem proper, which is one of Coleridge's most haunting and beautiful. The first three stanzas are products of pure imagination. The pleasure doom of Kubla Khan is not useful metaphor for anything in particular, though in the context of the poem's history it becomes metaphor for the unbuilt monument of imagination. However, it is fantastically prodigious descriptive act. The poem becomes especially evocative when, after the second stanza, the meter suddenly tightens. The resulting lines are terse and solid, almost beating out of the sound of the war drums. The shadow of the doom of pleasure floated midway on the waves. The fourth stanza states the theme of the poem as a whole, though Kubla Khan is almost impossible to consider as a united whole, as its parts were so sappy divided. The speaker says that he once had the vision of the damsel singing of Mount Abora. This vision becomes a metaphor for Coleridge's vision of 300 lines masterpiece, and he never completed. The speaker insists that if he could only revive within him her symphony and song, he would recreate the pleasure doom out of music and words and take on the persona of the magician or visionary. His hearers would recognize the dangerous power of the vision, which would manifest itself in his flashing eyes and floating hair, but awestruck they would not nonetheless dutifully take part in the ritual, recognizing that he on honey dew had fed and drank the milk of paradise. So guys, that's all. I have completed Kubla Khan. So I hope this video will be helpful for you guys. So make sure to subscribe my channel and give a thumbs up. Love you all. Over and out. Bye.